can offend people. I don't even know I'm doing it. It's just the way I am. I don't really have the way my mind works, I'm not always thinking about, well, I can just say I'm never thinking about what everybody else is going to be thinking about it. I just kind of do it, and sometimes that people get left in the wake, and that's not a good thing, but it is what it is. A lot of guys are that way. I mean, we don't really care what anybody thinks about what we're doing. We don't care if anybody else likes the clothes we got on. We like them, right? Guys got favorite stuff. Guys got favorite shirts. Your wife, if you don't watch him, he wears his favorite shirt every day. He wears it every day because it's his favorite shirt. Got his favorite jeans, got his favorite shoes. Guys got a favorite pair of underpants. We do. Every guy, don't deny it. Every guy, can't be a bad day when you got on your favorite underwear. I mean, that's just the way it is. And guys don't care whether or not anybody else likes that. Why? Because we like it. That's what we like it, so we don't care if anybody else likes it. Most guys got like 4 pair of shoes. Most women got like 400. Just the way it is. I mean, guys go, well, you need a whole lot of shoes. I like these shoes. And when guys go to get another pair of shoes, you know what they're going to do? Get one just like the pair they already got. You know why? Because we like them. Guys go to a restaurant, we're going to order the same thing every time. We know when we pulled up what we're going to order. Well, I'm going to look at the menu. They didn't change it since 3 days ago when I was here. Why am I going to pick up the menu? When I pull up, I know what I'm going to get. My wife, Kim, is here, my lovely wife. When she gets to a restaurant, she's going to look at every single item on the menu like that has never been served anywhere before. She's going to study that thing because she don't want to make a bad decision. Well, I know I'm not going to make a bad decision. I'm going to order what I already like. And you know what? She's going to want some of it. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I'm not really giving a rip what anybody else thinks about what I'm doing and wearing and going. And, I don't think about what, well, other people are probably looking at me and they're thinking, look somewhere else. That's not the way the body of Christ works. Most ladies, very kind of concerned about that kind of thing. When they walk out the door, the last thing they do is look in the mirror and make sure. Guys don't do that. Guys don't even need a mirror for the most part. We just go. It's just the way it is. But there's times that stuff kind of, we just butt heads and we can just offend people. And everybody screws up and everybody's going to get screwed over. So what do you do with it? Just stay mad? That's what most of us do. Just stay mad. Well, we don't have time to get, this is actually one part of a 4 or 5 part series, and I'm not going to give you all of it today. What I didn't ask is when is this over? When I get through? Yeah, I've heard that before. Y'all will quit listening a long time before I quit talking. Not my first rodeo. No matter, I can stand up here all day. Y'all gonna check out at some point. I get that glaze, and if I get too long, y'all just get up and leave. I've been there before too. Anyway, let's talk about something that matters. I want you. There's a verse in the Bible. It's Colossians 3:13. This is what it says. It says, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if anyone has a complaint against another. If anyone has a complaint against another, that covers every situation, doesn't it? That covers what's done to you, what you do to somebody. It covers all of it. It says, if anyone has a complaint against another, even as Christ forgave you, so you also must do. Now that's the New King James Version. But I like the way it words. It means the same thing. You got to forgive as the Lord forgave you. How much did the Lord forgive you of? All except the really bad stuff? No, He forgave you of all of it. He loves us enough to forgive us right where we are, and He loves us enough not to leave us there, right? I mean, that's kind of the way the Christian life works. But Jesus told us we didn't have any choice but to forgive. We have to forgive. I don't know, this is, most of you, if you've kind of read through your Bible a time or two, this is one of those passages that sticks out. This is from Matthew chapter 18. It's Peter talking. If you think your life is a mess, look at the 12 disciples. That's the 12 most screwed up people ever. And Jesus chose them on purpose. Jesus chose them on purpose. They are from really young to probably not so young. They are from every part of life. But there's 2 of them that fascinate me. One of them is Matthew. My youngest son's named Matthew. Matthew was an incredible guy, and his story of faith is amazing. But you know, Matthew was a traitor to his nation. Matthew was not a good guy when Jesus found him. He was a tax collector. He sold out to the Romans. And the way that whole thing works is I would bid on collecting the taxes at a bridge or a crossing or something like that. It was more like a toll road or something. If you've been through Kentucky, you kind of get it, you know. And you had to pay a price to cross here, or because you had certain assets, you had to pay a price. Well, how much was that tax? As much as I could get. That's what the tax was. It was as much as I could get. And I was obligated then to give so much of it to the Romans, what I had bid to get this area per month or year or whatever. You know, I had to give the Romans so much, but I got to keep all the rest of it. So what Matthew did is he spent his life bleeding his own people dry. He was a traitor. He sold out to the stinking Romans. Then you got this other guy called Simon the Zealot. He is always called Simon the Zealot. He is never not called Simon the Zealot. Well, the Zealots were the group of Jews that advocated the violent overthrow of Rome. They were the Marines. I mean, these were the guys that kicking butt, taking names. That's all they give me a sword. People are fixing to die. So you've got Simon the Zealot walking down the road with the American Taliban. Think that ever got interesting? You think somebody had to maybe separate those two from time to time? But Matthew, this is in the book of Matthew. It's Peter talking, who was the one that always gave an answer. 99.9% of the time it was wrong. I can relate. Often wrong, but never in doubt. Peter came to the Lord. They were having this long conversation. I'm just going to pull a couple of verses out. Peter came to him and said, Lord, how often, he said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? You know, am I supposed to forgive him 7 times? And the inference there is, okay, that's 1, okay, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pop, right? That's what he's saying. How long, you know, most of the teaching of that day, you know, what the rabbis and all said, it's 4 times. He thought he was going way beyond that. And then he said up to 7 times. Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. What he's saying, that's not 490. What he's saying is that you never stop. We just forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive. That's what we do as believers. That's what we're supposed to do. What's the result of not forgiving? Well, according to the Bible, it's this thing called bitterness. You ever been around some bitter old dude? You don't know what happened to him, but you know something did. You know, well, that's where we end up if we don't let stuff go. We got to let it go. We got to, you know, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Been there too. You know, how in the world could I have done that? How could I have screwed this up so bad? You know, I made a mess out of this. We all go through that too, don't we? So you got to forgive yourself too. You got to be able to get past your past and move on, and Jesus wants you to have a great future. So anyway, I just kind of want to give you a few things. You know, I'm a points guy, but let me just give you a few things to take away from this whole thing. Number one is forgiveness is not optional. You don't have a choice. You have to forgive. You know, if you're in the family, it's part of being in the family, you got to forgive. You don't have any choice. We say, but you don't know what they did. I know. That's the great thing about it. I don't know what they did, but you don't know what's going on in my life either. You know, we all have to get past the past. We all got to move on. Forgiveness is not optional. Second thing, we just mentioned it, forgiveness does not have any limits. You just got to keep forgiving. And man, I know some people go through some tragic stuff. I mean, you know, stuff that I haven't been through, and I can't say how I would act until I've gone through it. Man, I'm not trying to put that off on anybody, but I just know that Jesus said there's a way to forgive, that forgiveness doesn't have any limits. And if you don't forgive, it's going to turn you into a different person. And it's going to be a person that if you could look from now, you won't like. You won't like. See, man, no sense chasing that rabbit. Third thing, Jesus uses the illustration. He uses several illustrations about money, in talking about forgiveness. The rest of this illustration, I'm not going to take time to read it, is about, somebody owed so much money and he did pay it back. What happened? And Jesus uses an illustration about money when he talks about forgiving, because we understand what it is to forgive a debt, right? I borrow $10 from somebody and you say, don't worry about it, don't pay me back. You might have known I wasn't going to anyway. You just go on and forgive the debt. What if you really expect to be paid back and I don't pay you back? You going to think about that every time you see me? Probably. What if it wasn't $10? What if it's $10,000? And I just didn't pay you back? It's a hard thing to let go, isn't it? Kind of that establishing a debt in a relationship is why we use terms like, you owe me an apology. You ever heard that? Because it establishes a debt in the relationship. You wronged me and you owe me something. You got to humble yourself and say you're sorry to me, or I'm going to continue to be pissed off at you. Well, if you're going to be mad about something, what if the other person don't give a rip? What if they don't care? What if they're just going on about their life and doing their things? They could care less whether or not you're mad. Who's it hurting? Yeah, it ain't hurting them. They're going on having a great life. Who's the one that's sulking and suffering through it and mad about it every single day and think about it? It's you. And think of the emotional energy that's stealing from you. Think of all the stuff that could be done with that same amount of passion and emotion and energy. Let it go. Just forget it. Move on. It ain't helping you. It's not. It's not anything. You just gotta move past it, because what they may not ever repay it. They don't. We have to forgive them, even if they don't ask to be forgiven. You say, well, they never said they were sorry. Well, what if they're not sorry? What if they could care less that you're offended? What you gonna do with that? Just go around mad for the rest of your life? I'm telling you, spiritually, that ain't going to work out for you. Next thing is, Jesus knew that forgiveness was not for the offender, it is for the offended. It is the thing that allows us to move past our past. When I was in college, I had a roommate. His name was Leonard Knight. He was a great guy. He was one of the coolest guys I've ever known. I went to a Bible college, so everybody there was kind of ministry-oriented and all that kind of stuff. And man, this guy, he could preach better than anybody else. He knew more than anybody else. He was just great. He was 2 years ahead of me in college. My sophomore year, he was a senior. And we decided, look, I am not young anymore. I went to college in the 70s. 70s. How many of you were born after the 70s? Yep, everybody in here but John Stoltz. Just the way it goes. Getting old is no fun, by the way. It is a pain, literally. The worst thing about getting old? I can't see. I can't see. It doesn't matter, but I like to shoot a lot. I shoot, 250 to 500 rounds a week. I like to shoot. And I can't, it helps to be able to see what you're shooting at, right? I mean, a lot of things can go wrong if you don't. I can't read well, can't shoot as good. It drives me nuts. But I went to college back in the 70s with this guy. There was only one dorm room in our whole college that was air conditioned. And so I got it. The way I got it is moved all the other guys' crap out and said, you don't live here anymore. And I decided that was going to be our room. Went back early, staked it out, was ready for battle, anybody that tried to take it. And Leonard was going to meet me 3 days later. This was before cell phones. This was payphone days, guys. There used to be these little booths, and they had phones in them. And you go in there and you put money in there and you talk to somebody, Google it. You'll understand. Leonard didn't show up when he was supposed to. He didn't show up. He never didn't do what he said he was going to do. He always did what he said he was going to do. And I was worried about him. And so I called, couldn't get an answer, called his mother's house, called wherever I thought he would be. No answer. Bottom line is, Leonard was very close to his sister. They were real close in age, just a year apart. And he and his sister were very, very close. His sister worked at a convenience store, had been kidnapped, raped, and murdered from the day that we were supposed to supposed to meet. It absolutely, it devastated me. I can't explain to you how much this changed him. But the biggest thing is, Lincoln, he was the best speaker. He knew more, but he just couldn't let it go. He could not forgive. Dropped out of school, became this big advocate for the death penalty in Georgia. I went to college in Atlanta. And the last time I saw him, he was on television speaking about the death penalty and all this kind of stuff. And I'm all about that, but it just changed who he was because he was not able to forgive this guy. I ain't never been through that. But are you supposed to forgive even in that circumstance? Yep, right after you kill him, right? No, that ain't the way it goes. That's the way we want it to go. But there are no limits. And I've seen what not forgiving can do. My granddad lived on a farm down in Pike County, Alabama, at a community called the Needmore community. And the reason they call it Needmore is because it needed more of everything. They didn't have nothing there. One little store, wasn't even a crossroads. It was just kind of a store on the main road. My granddad had a couple of 100 acres farm there. He was a peanut farmer down in South Alabama. His family kind of lived all up and down this road. He had a brother that lives next to him named Lee. Was the next house down. It was probably 3/4 of a mile down there to it, but he was the next house down. But we didn't talk to Uncle Lee. We didn't talk to his kids. We weren't allowed to kind of go down there and hang out or anything because my grandfather and his brother had been in a feud. You know what that is, Yeah, Google that too. They've been in this feud for since they first both became adults. And what they were fighting over in South Alabama, we call a gully. It was just a big hole full of kudzu that both families threw the garbage in. They just threw the trash, kind of like their landfill. But my granddad thought the fence should be over here, and he owned that. And my Uncle Lee thought the fence should be over here, and he owned that. And they fought about it their entire lives over a gully that they both were going to throw their garbage in anyway. I mean, that wasn't the point. It was just who owned it. They had gotten sideways about that thing. Long story short, my granddad and his Uncle Lee ended up in the same nursing home up in Montgomery, Alabama, where I grew up. And guess what? These are two 90-something-year-old men in wheelchairs trying to fight about a gully 60 miles away that somebody else owned then. You see a problem with that? Will not forgiving change your life? Yes. It will absolutely. If you don't forgive, it will absolutely change your life. And you don't have any choice but to forgive. Anyway, next thing. Jesus knew that refusing to forgive chains us to that event forever. The thing that you hated the most, if you won't forgive, you're locked into it forever. It won't get well. It just stays hurt. You have to forgive. What if you fell down on the snow outside, slipped on the ice, and broke your arm? Hurt like a mug, wouldn't it? Yeah, holy mackerel, hurt. Take me to the doctor. Give me some medicine, Set it. What if it never healed? What if it never healed? It just stayed broken your whole life. Are you just going to stand there and holler for the rest of your life? What you would do is learn to work around that injury, right? You have to. You weren't just going to stand there and die. You'd have to learn to walk around that. But would it change the way you lived? Oh, yeah. You probably couldn't do some of the things you do now, a lot of them. Would you be very protective of that? Every time you walked into a room, don't hit my arm, it's broken. Watch out, get away from my arm. You would be very protective of it. That's what happens to us emotionally when we don't forgive. It never heals. It never heals. It just stays that way. Forgiveness doesn't instantly make everything go away, but it lets the healing process start. Let me tell you this. I think this one's for free. I don't even think this is in the notes. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It is a process that you have to go through again and again and again and again. Because every time you think of it and get pissed off, you got to forgive them again, right? And you are going to. And then it could be something small. You know, it doesn't have to be some kind of big deal thing. You know, but you know, every time it rolls back up and you feel that whatever that is rise up in you, you got to forgive them again. You don't have any choice. It's just the way things go. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, it changes that event forever. Refusing to forgive kind of pushes the self-destruct button in the relationship area of our lives. If we can't, you know, it's going to be hard for us to enter into any kind of close relationship if we have a bunch of not things we haven't dealt with from our past, just the way it is. Anyway, always think of forgiveness in terms of canceling a debt. You know, when you pay off a loan, they send you that thing from the bank stamped in red, paid in full. You know, pretty cool, isn't it? You know, I think I got one of those maybe once, but anyway, eventually you do pay things off. So you think about it in terms of canceling debt. So I want to kind of give you three things about that. Number one is you need to identify what has been taken or withheld. We kind of feel hurt generally, so we try to forgive generally, and that doesn't work. You need to try to identify, this is what they did to me, and this is why I'm mad. Sometimes we're mad, and we're not exactly sure why we're mad. It just seems like we should be mad. After all, they did this and this, so I'm mad. We kind of got to identify what it is that is making us so mad. Why are we so bent out of shape about this thing? And that's where the forgiveness starts. God, I forgive them for this. And that's before they ever say that. Let it go. Let it be in the past. It's not about what the other person does from that point on. It's about what you do. The second thing is we got to actually cancel the debt, paid in full. You know, stamp that thing in your mind. Forgiveness is a decision, not an emotion. We wait till we want to feel like forgiving them. We ain't never going to feel like forgiving them. They made you, you know, they did this or that or the other thing. And I mean, it can be some big, you know, intense stuff. I understand that. But anyway, we've got to cancel the debt. Third thing is don't hold it against them. As much as you can, do not reinstate the debt. You know, this is the hard part of the Christian life. To me, the easy part is charging hell with a squirt gun. I don't have any problem with that. Let's go. You know, get it. Let's, you know, kick tires, light fires, man. Let's go get it. I've never liked to do easy stuff, maybe that everybody else, you know, would do. I used to travel around the world a lot, speak around the world a lot, and do a lot of mission stuff like that. And I never wanted to go anyplace easy. I wanted to go someplace hard. Anybody can go where it's easy, right? I mean, let's go where nobody else wants to go. I went to the island of Java in Indonesia, some years ago. Indonesia is the largest Islamic nation in the world. It's 198 million people, and it's 99-point-something% Islamic. I was on the north coast of the island of Java. Java is about the size of Tennessee. Only there are 105 million people that live on it. So there's some big, it's where Jakarta is, 24 million people. I think it's the second or third largest city in the world. But I was up on the north coast of the island of Java. A lot of Al-Qaeda influence, you know, a lot of not good stuff toward Americans. And Indonesian people are small people. You know, a good-sized man is maybe 5'2" or 5'4", and most of the women are below 5 feet tall. So I kind of stood out in the crowd, even with my big old 5'9" self, you know, and they all weigh about 62 pounds, and I weigh more than that, you know. So I didn't have any problem, you know, they didn't have any doubt that I was an American. You know, I got called John Goodman a couple of times, but, you know, to them we all look alike. And I was with a guy named Dr. Lewis Woods. He's the president of Illinois Baptist College. And Lewis is 6'4" and weighs 525 pounds. He can't hide nowhere. You know, he is always there. You know, I was at a mall in I think it was called Pekalongan, this little, they called it a village. There's about 2.5 million people there. But anyway, we were in this mall, and I had this group of probably 300 people gathered around me, you know, wanting to touch me and looking, hey, oh, he is so big. You know, and this guy came sliding around the hall and saying, here, over there's one even bigger. You know, and they all took off and ran over there. But I spent about a month going into Islamic theology schools and lecturing on American culture. I didn't think there could be anything much harder than that, so let's go do this, you know. And you're not allowed to mention your faith. You're not allowed to mention, I mean, it is against the law to proselyte, to ask anyone to convert from, you know, Islam and all this kind of stuff. So you have to kind of wait on the questions. They always ask the same things. And one of the questions they always ask is, what are the major celebrations in America? And I would always talk about my two biggest holidays, which are Christmas and Easter. And then they would always say, what is Christmas and Easter? They ask, I can tell, right? So I went to Islamic theology schools and shared the Lord, and man, we had a big time. I can't see I made any kind of big difference or anything, but I know that every one of those guys heard the gospel. I like doing stuff like that. It's pretty fun. Been to Africa a bunch of times and battled it out with the witch doctors and all that kind of stuff. To me, that stuff is not hard. This stuff eats my lunch. This stuff is hard. I don't want to forgive. I want to be mad. Why? Because I'm human. It's part of my sin nature. I'd rather be mad and fight. That's just what we do. That's not what the Lord wants us to do. You know, I screw up, have to try to work through forgiving myself, which is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. You know, other people harm you, but hanging on to it, what good does that do? What you going to do with it? Put it up on the mantle and let people look at it? This is where I keep all my offenses. I take them out and pet them every day. Think about each one of them and how pissed off I am about it. How's that going to help? How's that going to help? That's not going to help you in life at all, but it is definitely not going to help you in your faith. How are you going to grow in your faith if you're mad at everybody? Everybody's mad at you. And the end of it is an old, bitter, dried up person. Man, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. So how do you work through it? Kim's waving her phone at me, so it's time to quit. That's why she's there. Seems like I've only been up here about 5 minutes. Oh, seems longer than that to you. I don't doubt it. Deal is, what you need to do this afternoon, whenever you get a chance, is you and God need to get alone by yourself somewhere, and you need to talk to Him. You just need to say, God, this is the way it is. I know there's a bunch of crap built up in my life, and I'm carrying it around like a backpack, and it's weighing me down. And dude, this morning was talking about we need to forgive people. So, and then if you'll ask this, God will answer you, I promise. Is there anything I need to forgive somebody of? Is there, what's in my life that's standing between me and you? And then just shut up and listen. Just hush and let God speak to you. Now, if you start hearing voices, call me, because that's different. If we're having some kind of psychotic break, we may need to take some medicine. You call me and I'll call Andy and he can deal with it. I'm not talking about hearing voices. I'm talking about the Lord speaking to your spirit, and you will be surprised at what He's going to bring to your mind. This thing that happened when you were in the 6th stinking grade, and it's still stuck back there. This thing that happened to you in your first marriage, or this thing that happened, while you were doing, in a job somewhere. I'm talking about don't schedule nothing right after that, because it may take a minute. I'm serious. You get alone, just you and God, and just ask Him, God, what do I need to deal with? What unforgiveness is there toward myself? And some of you guys carrying around this big old backpack full of stuff because of mistakes you made 20 years ago. It's not helping. Let it go. You can't change it. Forgive yourself and move on. It turns you into negative, bitter people. Give you one more thing for free. This won't cost you anything, I promise. There's 3 things that will ruin your life. I'm going to write a book about this one of these days. It's one of those kind of bucket list things. 3 things that will ruin your life that only you can fix. Laziness, negativity, and being a victim. Bad things happen to everybody. Don't use it as an excuse not to move forward. That relates straight up to forgiveness. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do to end this. Sometimes you have a guy told me one time, though, when the horse is dead, dismount. So that's what we're going to do. Let's pray. Josh, if we do a closing song or whatever we do, let's pray. Father, thanks a lot for the opportunity to be here this morning. God, this is such a cool place. Highlands is just an absolutely great place. good things going on. God speaking for you, winning folks to you, kind of showing a path to people of how we can have relationship with you. Bless Andy and his family as they lead this, and God, for all the folks that support him and are here and a part of this. Thanks for this ministry. It's cool. It's unique. It is your heart. I believe that. So bless them. But God, this deal we talked about today is for real. There's all this crap that builds up in our life, and God, nobody knows that better than you. Help us to have the courage to deal with it. Help us to find a few minutes just to get alone without the kids around, without the spouse around, without the TV on. Just get alone with you and say, God, what do I need to deal with? And then be quiet and just let you speak. God's the best thing we can do for our Christian life is keep that slate clean, keep all that junk pushed to the side, keep it all swept up. God, you are ready, willing, and able to help us move forward. God, just help us to be courageous enough to take this step. In Jesus' name, amen.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, your perfect love is casting out fear. And even when I'm caught in the middle of the storms of this life, I won't turn back, I know you are near. And I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. And if my God is with me, whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm. Oh no, you never let go. Every high and every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. Yes, I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. A glorious light beyond all compare. And there will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, we'll live to know you here on the earth. And I will fear no evil, for my God is with. If my God is with me, whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Oh no, you never let go. Through the calm and through the storm. Oh no, you never let go. Every high and every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. So I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. And there will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you. Still I will praise you. Yes, I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. There will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you. Still I will praise you. Singing, oh no, you never let go. Calm and through the storm. Oh no, you never let go. Every high and every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. let go. Lord, you never let go of me. Lord, you never let go.